r/AskReddit asks, what takes more courage than people realize? Speaking up when something's not right. Totally. People who have managed to do this through history are responsible for the fact that for many life today is better. Intervening in a situation. 99% of people ignored fights, people getting hurt, or any situation where someone needs to stand up. I've stopped a couple of assaults. I've helped a lost kid. As an adult male, walking around with a small child without their parent is asking to be a suspected pedo, I've stopped to help at a couple of vehicle accidents. I can't speak for anyone else, but for me it's not courage, it's a sense of duty. Rather than overcoming some emotional impediment to helping, it's more like sighing before I accept that I have to do it and start rolling up my sleeves. Maybe I'm just an asshole who has been trained to act like a nice person. Asking questions when you don't understand something. Our CFO said in a meeting once, egos are expensive, about this exact thing, and that really stuck with me. Owning your mistakes. This is huge. Owning a mistake says volumes about character. Hell, someone can fuck up, but for someone to own it and accept the consequence, pose or neg, is a great quality. Getting clean sober. 100% this. Nowadays I see posts online or people just saying, it's not a disease, they chose to do it. They have no idea until they've done it or watched someone go through it just how difficult it is to get clean and stay clean. It breaks my heart every time I hear, why narcan them? Just let them die. Ending a long-term relationship. In my case it was very difficult for me to break things off with a guy I dated for 5 years. Right when I graduated I moved in with him. We did everything together. We moved to a new state, got a house together, a dog together. My family liked him. On the outside things were great, but we both changed and grew apart in that time. It was hard to even admit to myself that I didn't love him anymore. Being yourself. True statement right there. Not caring what people think about you. It took me a long time to learn this. Giving a speech in public. Very stressful. I think it depends on the topic. I'm not a fan of public speaking, but I try to do it once or twice a year at my old university just to maintain it as a skill. When talking about a subject that you're knowledgeable about it comes very easy, but yeah, having to do some bullshit speech on a book that you were forced to read is completely different. My advice is to remember your main talking points, what I would put up on the presentation slide, but don't practice what you're going to say word for word because it makes it easier to improvise if you miss or skip parts of the presentation. As long as you cover the main topics, the audience will never know what you forgot to say. Functioning while fighting depression. Thank you. I have my animals to thank, as well, because I wouldn't do enough to take care of me, for me, but I'll take care of me, to be able to take care of them. This last month, though, I've been trying to step it up, because I see a good way out and I want to hit the ground stumbling forward. React to a compliment. Luckily for me I never get compliments. Saying that you have depression, I guess. Or having depression and trying to move on. I feel like people won't actually take it seriously in my opinion, 'cause there are some cases that people would just say, move on. Sometimes it's hard to explain, it's worst if you have some type of anxiety too, like social anxiety. It's just my opinion, so y'all please correct me if I'm wrong. Saying true things kindly that might be difficult for others to hear openly. Admitting that you're scared. Leaving a toxic abusive relationship. Until you've been in one, it's easy to think, well, if someone's mean to you, lays hands on you, cheats on you, then you leave. No-brainer. But it's so much harder than it seems. In my case, it felt like unraveling my whole life. Admitting to people outside of my marriage what was actually happening felt like dying. As one of those gifted kids you've heard about, failure is the last thing you want to admit. Being made a fool of is the second to last. Leaving my marriage meant doing both. Asking a girl out. That rejection hits us right in our core. Never understood this. I'm female and have asked out several guys, and if they said no, then they said no. I don't get why some men think it's a huge deal. Yeah, it hurts to find out the person you're in love with isn't interested or is taken already, but it isn't terrifying like some people make out. And at least you know and can get closure that way. Getting rid of a wasp nest. Kevlar body armor, beekeeper suit, and Boring Company flamethrower. Telling someone you care for * what they need to hear *, even though you know it'll hurt their feelings. Change, even change for the better. Even if given the means to escape the things that suck in your life, you'll find a way to remanufacture the same bullshit that used to drive your blood pressure up, because that's what you're used to, and the unknown is scarier than that. Deep down, most people are that horse that would run back into a burning barn, because the barn is home and there are people shouting outside. Change. Navigating the healthcare system. I found it cheaper to just fly on demand. Fuck the US healthcare mafia. Granted, I'm pretty healthy, but so are most people. To come out as gay. Working on coming out as bi. It's pretty much the hardest thing I've ever done. I just wish I'd know how people would react. I don't want anything to change. I just don't want to have to hide part of who I am. Disagreeing with someone. Today that gets you a hate mob. Speaking your personal opinion that goes against the general consensus. How are you still alive? Masturbating with someone. Probably couldn't have done it in younger years, but now I think it's awesome. It's one thing to support your friends, it's entirely different to honestly call them out when they're in the wrong. Yup. The, if you're really my friend, you'll always support me mindset is the most dangerous lie to believe in a friendship. Saying no and speaking against the opinion of a group. I work in care, so I spend half my week doing team meetings. Most trouble starts because people will just nod in meetings while they are actually not in agreement. Then will do the agreed job half-assed or not at all, causing stuff to fail. At the next meeting nobody will admit to half-assing the job, so you end up having the same discussion as the last meeting. Very tiring. Read the book, Never Split the Difference. It tells you what questions to ask to make sure people will actually do what they are agreeing to. Suicide, it's always called the easy way out or a coward's way out. But you're going against every cell in your body whose only goal is to carry on. Also the survival instinct that just wants to stay alive. I do not think suicide is cowardly or easy. I agree to a certain extent. Yes, the act itself is not easy. It's human nature to fight to stay alive. But to give up on all responsibility and basically suffer no consequences instead of facing them head-on, is indeed cowardly. Success. A lot of people won't embrace a risk because they are not only afraid of the negative outcome but also about the good one. And most of the times we are not aware about this fear and succumb to it out of low self-esteem and self-sabotaging behavior. Swimming in the open ocean. I'm an adrenaline junkie, ride motorcycles, jump out of planes, thrill rides, do rock climbing, etc. But swimming in the open ocean where there's no bottom, unknown creatures lurking below. Not easy.